For more than 70 years, we have seen exceptional growth and economic progress across the world. Global trade and investments have soared in recent decades, and most countries have seen a significant increase in their GDP as a result, with millions lifted out of poverty. For decades, this virtuous circle led to the widespread assumption that economic growth and social progress naturally go hand in hand. But today, many are questioning this assumption, and we are witnessing a growing disconnect between economic growth and social progress. Large numbers of people face real challenges in their day-to-day lives and feel left behind by a system unfairly stacked against them. So how did we get here, and what can we do about it? International efforts to drive recovery after the Second World War were very successful, growing the economy and facilitating international trade, which, in turn, drove huge social progress. This growth engine was supported by three drivers: globalization, technological advances, and financialization. During the 1980s, a number of factors caused the three drivers to accelerate and transform both their nature and their compound effect at a global scale. Economic activity and global trade increased throughout much of the world, while society continued to make great strides forward. On average, people were living longer, healthier lives, and billions of people were lifted out of poverty. But despite appearances, all was not well. Some weaknesses contributed to the growing disharmony between economy and society, and were exposed during the global financial crisis in 2008. Gains from the prosperous era did not reach everyone. Households in the 75th to 90th percentile of the global income distribution were scarcely better off economically in 2008 than they had been 20 years before. So while the overall economic picture looked very rosy on average, throughout this growth, many people started to experience economic difficulties in their daily lives. This situation led to a fundamental loss of confidence in the reliability and impact of economic growth, the institutions of our interconnected world, and the apparent ability of government, business, and civil society to respond. So what should be done? The path ahead is undeniably complex, but there is an urgent need for governments, businesses, and other stakeholders to engage together to reframe both the manner in which our current system operates as well as its intended outcomes. There are several emerging avenues of thought on the way forward. Economic growth does not always equal social progress. We must explicitly set financial and social goals that reflect the needs of local communities, cities, regions, and countries. Prioritize basic human needs and look beyond overly simplified indicators like GDP. Go local. Cities, towns, and villages are the natural meeting places for social progress and economic success. We need to rethink the roles of the nation-state and of globalization to ensure we enable our communities to thrive. Beyond financial performance. Financial performance is a necessary but not a sufficient element of success in a market economy. We need to look beyond GDP and shareholder returns so that our metrics for success reflect social goals. Technology doesn't care, but we must. Automation, machine intelligence, and disruption of communities are some of the threats technology poses to increasingly significant parts of the global population. But emerging technology also holds the promise to help us by creating new industries and jobs. Educate for the future. People need the right skills for a successful future. Cooperation between governments and businesses should be scaled up to ensure that our global workforce can thrive in an increasingly technology-enabled environment. Now is the time to further develop and fine-tune this concept to ensure we have a solid basis for the future. The diversity of European countries might provide a big advantage in this exercise, as we already have experiences with numerous different political and social models that we can learn from. The world is at a tipping point, with significant sections of society feeling disenfranchised and not perceiving benefit in their everyday lives from global growth. If this trend continues, it could lead to significant political and social instability, and the risk of this should not be underestimated. It is essential that we realign our economic systems around a greater commonality of purpose, with governments, businesses, and citizens focused on delivering social outcomes as well as financial ones. It will not be easy, but it is the only way that we can continue to achieve prosperity in the long term.